Welcome and hello, Sharon from Parent Family Programs. I am so glad you are joining us. It's time for another great conversation with one of our amazing campus partners. I want you guys, as family members, to always feel equipped with information to help best support your student while they are here at KSU. And so, a little bit of background, you may have seen this first starter conversation over the summer. I did a summer series with academic advising with Gerald Morris. And so, really, we just started talking and saying, we think we need a follow up. We think we need to be able to kind of continue this conversation. And so I am really excited today to do just that, to continue this wonderful conversation with the academic advising, to really just make sure that you as well as your student are well equipped as your student transitions into their next round of course registration for spring term. Oh my gosh. It's crazy to think that it's already here. So, with that, I am going to throw it over to our amazing guests. This is AJ, Brittany, and Hannah. So, AJ, will you kick us off with an introduction?
Absolutely. Hello, parents and family members. My name is AJ Amini. I am the director of OWL Advising, and we are the home mostly for our undeclared and our dual enrollment students, but we also help students who want to change their major but aren't sure what to change it to, any students who require something called learning support, but then also any students under 30 credit hours who get placed on academic probation. So we help a number of unique populations, and we're always happy to support any student.
Awesome. All right. Who's next? Brittany.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Brittany Jones. I'm the director of the WellStar College Advising Center, where we house the ever so popular nursing students. We help to advise those students as well as exercise science, human services, public health education, sport management, and integrated health sciences. I just wanted to give kudos to all of the parents and the students out there, because if you've made it this far, you've accomplished quite a bit. So we're here to help you take it the rest of the way and make sure that you're connected to the right resources and on the right path.
Super. All right. And Hannah, bring it home.
Yeah. So my name is Hannah Santoro Stocks, and I'm the current interim director of the President Focused Learner program at KSU. A huge focus on advising across all of the spectrum of majors we offer on all of the campuses. My background is in College of Science and Mathematics advising at KSU. I spent about a decade in there. And so seen a lot, also an undergraduate of KSU myself. So I graduated from KSU. So I'm working in my home field, guys. love this place.
I love it. Hooty hoo, Hannah. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Anybody else an alum? Brittany, are you an alum too? No, that's okay. That's all right. One among us today. I love it. Well, thank you guys for spending time with us and helping us really just, all learn what students should be doing right now in their semester as it pertains to academic advising. If they were new to KSU this semester, they likely register for classes as a part of their orientation experience. And really, like I said, it's just sort of crazy to think that registration for next semester is now upon us. And so, because I think probably this is the time of the semester. I think we're in week 6, where, we've just kind of gotten the routines down, right? Families, like, they're probably not calling you as much. They're probably not texting you quite as much. They've kind of eased into it. And now it's like time to drop this in there and be like, okay, but you got to figure out next semester. So that's kind of where we are. And that's why we're here. We want to equip you with that. So let's start at the beginning. So when and how will students begin registering for spring 2022 classes? This is, obviously all dependent on their earned hours and a few other factors. So let's chat through that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to take this one. So we have a time ticket system at Kennesaw State University where essentially students are assigned a specific time ticket. And one of the first questions, where do I find this time ticket? Their time ticket is accessible to them on OWL Express. And OWL Express, I tell everybody, they probably heard this at orientation. This is my favorite thing. Brittany knows where I'm going. Your best friend is going to be the registration tab of OWL Express. And it really is, because you're going to use it every single semester to do things like check on your time ticket. You're going to see your time ticket right on that page. DegreeWorks will also show you your time ticket so you can see it there. And your actual full registration process, just like you did over the summer when you were coming in for fall semester, or if you're a current student who's just continuing for the next semester, all of the registration process occurs through AlExpress registration tab. So that's typically what you'll see. It starts on October 15th. That's the first day of registration for spring 2022 for current KSU students. And time tickets pretty much open through a 2-week window. That prevents you from all 43,000 of you registering at the same time. That would take a lot of computer servers, I would assume, to do that. And so it'll be based off of your standing at KSU. So seniors, juniors, and it'll continue to trickle down. I know people are like, what if my time ticket's at the end? Well, you're typically not looking for the same classes that a senior is looking for. So they start with those students that have a few things that they're looking for, and then they're going to work their way down through the end of October.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's really helpful. Sometimes you just kind of have to go back to the beginning and have those reminders. It's been a while, right? Like, and so much has happened. So much has happened in their lives since that last time that they did this. So with that, let's, what steps should our students be taking right now to prepare for this registration season and time ticket and all of that? What's the best thing to do?
And I will jump in on that one. The simplest thing to say is this is the best time to start meeting with your academic advisor in preparation for the next semester. So parents and family members, please don't hesitate. Ask your student, hey, have you already met with your advisor for the spring semester? As Hannah mentioned, registration beginning in mid-October. So setting your schedule right now, knowing what classes you want to register for, then when you can see the public schedule of classes, which is typically late September, early October, you'll actually start seeing the specific courses, the days, the times, the professor. So those are the logistical recommendations, but this one, really, really critical. I always encourage students to talk to their advisor about how they're doing in their courses. What kind of adjustments they need to make this semester to maybe boost their performance, seek out some resources that'll help them pass courses successfully this semester. But then please be honest with your advisor about any adjustments you want to make for next semester. So if morning classes weren't working for your student this semester, tell them to be honest with their advisor and say, hey, I can't do mornings. Being honest is so critical, and advisors will always be open and empathetic to that honesty.
Yeah. Crazy things pop in my head sometimes, y'all. And what I'm thinking is, you shouldn't lie to your dentist, right? I mean, if you're not flossing, you need to tell them you're not flossing, right? Because they're going to give you the best care, knowing that information. So I think that's a wonderful point. Like, just be honest, pretend like it's a medical appointment. You can't, it's not doing anybody any good if you're not going to be completely honest. And maybe they haven't really even explored, I think that's sometimes the good thing about just plopping down in front of someone, and saying, okay, this is not, like you just said, like, it's about logistics and lining it up, but it's also about a little bit about, let's have some reflection. Let's have some thoughts about what went right, what did I enjoy, and maybe what were some uncomfortable points in the semester, and was that a part of my growth, or are those going to continue to be challenges as I continue to go down this path? And so I would also wonder, if they're perhaps thinking about, okay, I thought I was this major. Maybe that's not what I should be. I'm sure you all kind of get some of those conversations at times too. I know I'm going a little off script right now, but that was something that I was thinking about, is like, that's probably a part of that meeting, is making sure that student is still feeling a bit comfortable, a bit like they're on the right path. Does that resonate a little bit too?
Absolutely.
So I guess with that's kind of this next portion. Are there things to consider, like changing the major, withdrawing from a class, things that take place this semester that could have been, again, a bearing on really how best to move forward with this class selection? So let's kind of chisel through some of those things that might make a lot of sense for this particular appointment.
Well, I'll take that one. Yes, 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 Sharon. There are so many things that students will want to consider. And we don't want to put the responsibility solely on the student. Yes, they're responsible for kind of adjusting, and making sure that their schedule is conducive for what they have going on. But those are the great conversations that we're able to have with students because we can help in that process. If you feel like, hey, that 8 a.m. wasn't working for me, and that's just not my call, and I don't want to do that next semester because I didn't retain any of the information that I was trying to learn at 8 a.m., then you want to make those adjustments, right? So yes to those things. But in addition to that, you'll want to see, and talk with your advisor, but also review the schedule to look at course availability. I know Hannah and AJ, you guys see it as well, but specifically in our college, sometimes we share with students that every course that you may want to take may not be available each semester. So it's good to review the schedule and get a gist of what's going to be offered and if the class that you're intending to take, or if there's one that is maybe a prerequisite for another class that you need to take later on, is even offered in the next semester. You also want to find out, we were talking about changing majors. Absolutely. Talk with your advisor if you're considering changing your major. And actually, you can talk with multiple advisors. You can talk with your current one. You can talk with the one that is the assigned advisor for a major that you're considering, just so that you can make a really well-informed decision. And in changing your major, just note that your classes that are required are not going to look the same. So you want to make sure that before you're selecting your courses, you're selecting the right courses for the major you intend to go into. In addition to that, withdrawing, non-passing grades, those are things that you want to have a good understanding about, because we talked about prerequisites, or their fancy way of saying one class that you need before you get to another class. If that's a requirement, if you've withdrawn or you got a grade that's just not so hot, you may not be able to be eligible anymore to get into that next course. So to piggyback off of what AJ was saying, having a great understanding of where you're at, what's your current grade in your current semester, is a good thing. You can talk to your professor about that, but also you can talk with us if you need specific help with resources. We can provide some tutoring opportunities for you, or supplemental instruction sessions, or ways for you to be able to reach out to get the help that you need. But last and definitely not least, we talk about campus partners a lot, right? So one office that we know a little bit about, but we work a lot with, is financial aid. So if students are utilizing HOPE or Zell Miller, there's various grants and loans and scholarships. So every student's situation is a little bit different. You want to be able to figure out, hey, how many credit hours do I need to be taking each semester to still remain eligible for this aid to help me pay for school? But also, is there a certain GPA requirement that I need to be meeting? What should I be satisfying academically to make sure that I still qualify for the aid that I'm receiving to pay for my classes financially? Okay.
Yeah, a lot to think about, a lot to go over, a lot to think about, and hopefully families, y'all can, like I love to say, we love to nudge the nudgers. We know that, we're hoping to equip you guys with some of this information. Watch it with your student, watch it first, watch it with your student. But what Brittany just went over sounds like just really good, critical things to think about before that student steps into that advising appointment, to kind of think about, because I'm sure sometimes you have students that come in and they haven't quite prepared. They're coming in to like get it done, and really they should have thought about it a little bit more before they came into the appointment with some of these things. So that's great, kind of like a good little checklist for them. So I know you spoke a little bit about resources. So anything else about resources that exist for our students, really to kind of help make the best course selections for this following term?
Absolutely. And I'm going to reiterate why we're all here today. It's that academic advising is that resource that I definitely encourage using. And I want people to feel comfortable going to their academic advisors. We love when students come to us multiple times. So sometimes you might need that initial meeting to ask your questions. You get some answers, you need to go digest that material, and maybe it requires that you go back to your academic advisor and talk to them again. So your academic advisor is a consistent resource that you have available to you year round. We work year round. So that's definitely one thing. And then there's some technical pieces to this. So the registration tab of OWL Express being your best friend is definitely one of them. That's probably the 50th time I've said that in the last probably 2 months. But it really is true. The registration tab has a bunch of resource information for you when it comes to actually registering. You can use the class schedule search feature to search all of the details of the courses that are going to be on offer. October 4th is the date where you can actually see the full schedule planned for spring semester. So class schedule search, there's class schedule builder. DegreeWorks is that electronic checklist of your degree requirements. So if you're sure about that major, your DegreeWorks does exist. You're going to look at your DegreeWorks page potentially with your student, and you're going to say, what am I looking at? This is a lot of information. And I'm going to go back to your academic advisor helping you interpret that information too. We don't expect you to go to DegreeWorks and know exactly what you need to do next. It's not a one-to-end list, but very helpful for clicking classes, reading about classes. We're good about websites. We love websites for everything, and I always tell people to use their web browser and see if something exists. One of those things that I would look at is the KSU catalog. You can read course descriptions for every course at KSU listed under that. And then I'm also going to say checking your email. The reason I'm going to say checking your email is because we want you to do that every day anyways as a student. And so families and anybody who's going to be working with a KSU student, be telling them when you're talking to them, hey, are you checking your student email? How often are you checking your student email? Because there are times where the academic departments come up with fancy classes that are not taught regularly. We have special topics classes, and typically departments are going to send you that information via email. So it might be, and here's an example, with everything going on in the world, the biology department had a COVID course. That didn't happen 5 years ago. And so you might learn about classes that are being offered and created because of things that are going on in the world right now. And you're going to get that information via email too. Academic program maps are available as well to give you a general idea of the 4-year degrees. All of this information that I just thrown at you, and you're probably like writing notes like, oh my gosh, so much stuff. Your academic advisor is going to help you interpret all of this information. So I'm going to go back to that piece. I don't want people to feel overwhelmed with just the sheer amount of stuff I just threw. Your academic advisor is going to help the student interpret all of the information available to them.
That's wonderful. That was definitely, I mean, I felt like, yes, that is a lot of information, but such good resources, such practical resources, such, I mean, parents and students, I hope if you're watching this, you're seeing these smiling, kind faces that are really just here. And this isn't, I didn't just pick the 3 that are only smile, you know, like they're all here to help, and they're all just as fabulous as the 3 people that are on this call. So thank you for that, Hannah. That was great. Like, what a great list of things. I want to recognize families that this is this is all a transition for our students, right? Like, this isn't just I don't want you to think like, gosh, my students really, every student, probably gets a little bit nervous about the next kind of big step in their semester and planning that out and figuring out what that's going to look like. But at the same time, maybe even with a little bit of that trepidation, every step it gets a little easier. Every time it gets a little easier. They learn to gain more autonomy in this process as the semester kind of and each year kind of rocks along. And so, I'd say as the parent professional, on our campus, I really truly enjoy the process of this journey, seeing students leading and learning to lead their own journey. We know it's not without some bumps and bruises, of course, but that's really what makes this a special place. It's a learning laboratory. We are all here to help. We are all here to guide. And of course, I can't say that without, if we don't know that there is a problem, we can't always help. So if we don't know that there are a few stumbling blocks in the way, we can't always help. So that's why we definitely, when students cross our paths, we want to encourage them like, hey, how's it going? But truly tell me how's it going, because if you don't, I don't want you to have these stumbling blocks when you really shouldn't have these. We can help with that. So love this learning laboratory that we're a part of. And it's a combination of the academic professionals, our amazing students who have that want to progress, and our amazing families who, I know y'all, you just want to figure out the appropriate amount of support because you are ready to get on the cruise. I mean, we know that. Like, you are ready to redo the room, you are ready to do all the things, but at the same time, you want to make sure that your student is continuing to be on that right and right path, efficient path. There's always that like analogy of like, is it a compass or is it a clock? And so we kind of have to marry those two things sometimes. Like we do want it to be timely, but we want it to be the right path too. And so it can really begin, these steps, these meetings with our academic friends, preparing for the next semester really just sends us into that appropriate level of responsibility for your student. And it's really fun to see them in those next steps of adulthood. It's sort of a slow but fast progression to see this all happen over these 4 years. So with that all said, again, sometimes our families, I know that you have the want to help. We all just want to be able to help our kids, but sometimes you just aren't particularly sure exactly how do I help during this stage. This is a little bit unfamiliar to me. So what would you all say is the best way to empower their child? So you as kind of the professionals that always see these students and are always talking to them, what advice do you have for our parents to empower their child from afar, but regarding their courses and alignment of these for their future career?
Yeah, it's so hard. I feel like I'm a mom, and so my kid, he's 6, right? But I'm already seeing that little bit of struggle with like letting go of the umbilical cord a bit, where I'm like, okay, he does need to gain some more independence. So I can only imagine, you guys, what that will take, when he gets of age and he's 18, so he's officially grown, but he really doesn't know everything, but he thinks he does. To just really reel myself in from trying, to interject or all of those things to try to be as helpful as I possibly can. But we have really tried our best to create an environment where we're empowering students. And we just encourage you to do the same. So in terms of empowering your student, we're talking about having them really begin to take ownership of their college experience and their degree, and also of their lives, right? Because there's so many things like that. That's a life lesson that we've all had to learn at certain stages. So in doing that, one of the things that you want to do, if you want to have access to some of the information, now this is not saying, you'll be coming to classes with them or anything like that, but if you, let's say, are in charge of taking care of the financial responsibility for them paying for school, or if the student has agreed that it's fine for you to be well aware of what their academic requirements are and speaking with professional staff and here on campus, that is fine. But just know that there is an actual form that will need to be filled out. So it is important that your student grants access and that we have their consent. By filling out a student consent to disclosure form. It's an electronic form. It's actually located within that OWL Express page that Hannah always talks about. So make sure that you're having that conversation with the student about how to best support, their progress throughout their educational journey, and that it's okay with them that you have that access. So FERPA is super important, and it's something that we'll be making sure that we monitor here. Otherwise, we can get in some pretty big trouble if we do not. Also, just as family and friends, you want to make sure that you have the ability to be able to foster the student's ability to explore and discover and affirm their path. So many times I've been in advising appointments, y'all, where the parents are like, well, when I was in school and as I was a nurse, and this is what we did 25 years ago. But things have changed, right? So we want to be cognizant of that. We totally appreciate your input. We respect the process that you went through, but just know that one size does not fit all. And your students, are very different from you. You may share some similarities, but, the needs and challenges of the students these days have really changed and they've evolved. So our advising staff and, all of the staff and faculty that are here have really done a great job of being able to adapt and make sure that we're addressing the current concerns that students are having. Make sure to practice really effective communication, develop that rapport and relationship, and then encourage your students to do that with faculty and staff that is here. We always are huge proponents as well about self-care, right, and having balance, because some of the programs, college is hard, it's an adjustment. And so you want to make sure that students have well access and well knowledge about resources that are here on campus that they can tap into and be able to take good care of themselves so that they can perform well academically and be connected. Also encouraging students to really be involved and step outside of their comfort zone. So One of the best things about our campus here is that, man, there's over 400 different organizations and clubs. So there should be no reason why your students should not find somebody with some sort of level of commonality. I always joke with one of my students who started a club for students who have food allergies. She's like, I realized there's not a club for that. And I have a lot of food allergies and I need to know of other people who do. And lo and behold, there were 18 other students who were like, we do too. So it was a great way for her to then, start something and be in a leadership role, but also to form that connection and find those commonalities with other students and figure out her way and her place on campus. And so we continue to encourage students to do just that. And you guys chime in I feel like I'm talking a lot, but yeah.
You said it.
Perfect.
It was good.
I love that. Yeah, active listening. I mean, just like you, Brittany said, I don't have a child yet in college. I have worked with college students for a long time. And so sometimes I try to, balance all that, like things I'm working with her on versus things, that experience with students. But yeah, I mean, empowering at any age. I love that. It's really, if we can empower our children, we then give them ownership, and really that ownership then leads them to success. It gives them that good foundational footing that they really need, that confidence that they need. I think that's a lot of times too, like our students just kind of, it's just natural at that age. They lack a little bit of confidence, but we are here to, alongside you families, you really know the student, right? Like you have lived these days of their lives with them. And I know it's hard to kind of entrust these strangers, that are here at the university a bit. That's a hard transition to make, to say, I've really done a good job, with this child, and I'm really entrusting you all to continue this journey with the things that you know. And so I love that we just kind of all work as a team together to empower them to own, then that leads to success. So, and Brittany, I love what you said about the needs and challenges have changed. I cannot echo that anymore, even within the amount of students I've seen just here at Kennesaw State over, a few years. I mean, sometimes especially even now post during COVID, this stage of COVID, we shall say, just how different our students are now than they were in 2019. I mean, they're carrying a different load with them. And so I think that plays a part in this too. Exactly. Like the needs and the challenges just look a little bit different, really, every just few years, every stage that we go through here in the world with things going on, things, needs and challenges pop up, and we kind of have to roll with those and figure out what to do next. So I love this. This has really gotten us caught up with what, students have sort of done already in their journey, what they need to do now. And I'm thinking about how, now how does a student continue to stay on track? What might be a little, go-to list that they should really try to consult each term to just ensure they're doing their best to stay on track with their academic goals? And perhaps if they wavered a bit, what should they do to try and get back on track through your resources? So, got anything for that?
Absolutely. Hannah's already mentioned this. I would say the simplest go-to list, like just physical go-to list, would be their DegreeWorks page. Okay, that's going to have the courses that they need. Parents and families, if you're looking for a little more of a public view of that, that's academicmaps.kennesaw.edu has a lot of our programs laid out in a 4-year plan. But I'm going to quote Brittany on this, give her full credit for this quote. I love this quote when I've heard it from Brittany. The best piece of advice for getting back on track is make your advisor your best friend on campus. Maybe not your best friend to hang out with outside of school, but you get the idea of what we're trying to say. If you go see your advisor regularly, they can help you stay on track, or for the students who feel like they need to get back on track, that will really help. And the reason I say that, every single program and major has some critical points to it, some critical courses, some critical milestones. We have some majors in the arts that are very performance related, where there's certain performance milestones. There's a lot of our science, technology, engineering, math, STEM majors have some very critical math and science courses that are those milestones. So advisors can help students be aware of what those milestones are, and if they have wavered, to get back on track. options that always exist are things like taking a summer course or taking, one or two more courses than what they normally would. But I say that, and I also want to follow it up immediately by saying, be honest with your advisor about what you can take. Okay, if summer courses are fast-paced courses, so if that's not right for your student, then definitely encourage them to just stay on track with the fall and spring semester. So being honest with your advisor, making your advisor your best friend when it comes to these things, very critical. Degree Works and Academic Maps are that physical checklist that can help.
That's wonderful. I think I said this in Gerald's session this summer, but every time y'all hit on that, like you need to see them frequently. Hey, that's what they're here for, number one, but also like if you're going to pay your financial advisor to keep you on financial track with your, like in life, let's do the same thing. Let's treat this as if because in some ways, it's sort of leading you to your financial and career future of success. And so let's start here with, hey, I need to have these meetings regularly, make sure I'm on track, make sure I'm, going to graduate in the time that I want to graduate, that I'm on the right, like I said, on the right path, feeling secure in this, and really making sure that I don't miss any critical points in this journey. So anyways, no, those are really good. I love that. And I love that you said it's academicmaps.kennesaw.edu for parents to be able to look at those. That's great. I will link that in our content below as well. Because I do think it's fun for families to kind of like, let me check this out. Let me kind of see what's available. So we will definitely help you guys with that. This has been so helpful. I'm learning so much. It can be so overwhelming for students to start thinking and ensuring that they have everything taken care of on all fronts all the time. Like I said, they're probably just thinking like, oh, it's the 6-week mark. I've got it all under control. Everything's great. And it is great for a lot of students. It really is. And so we do, another reason why I thought this was a critical conversation right now, because we just want to make sure everybody's really totally equipped for this kind of next organization of their career. But yeah, let's just stay in touch with the advisor. Let's give them what they're here for, and make sure that is taken care of. So having these upfront and ongoing conversations, like I said, is really going to lead to that efficient and organized academic journey. So like I said, this has been so great. So as we close, do you guys have any extra tips or tricks, anything that you think our families should know in terms, how to just best partner with you all now and in the future?
Sure. I'll go ahead and jump in and begin. I would say, look, academic advisors in higher ed are a bit of a misunderstood resource. We're a relatively new resource as professional staff members. We're typically not faculty, although there are some faculty advisors who are still professors or instructors and also advisors, but the vast majority of advisors at KSU are staff advisors. And the assumption with advisors is that we're there just for scheduling classes. And we certainly do that. That's an important part. That's why most students initially come to us. But we'd like to think of ourselves as so much more, and we'd like to think of ourselves as students' biggest advocates while they are at college. So parents and family members, as you're watching this, please encourage your students to view their advisors as an amazing resource of support, empathy, and a partner in their higher education journey. That's really what we're here for.
Yeah. I have a shameless plug that Hannah always says. She does such a good job with this. Check your student email, you guys. It's so important because staff and faculty will give you some important updates. We'll give you dates and deadlines, fun things that are going on around campus that you can get involved in. And I know it's a lot sometimes to juggle between having like a KSU student email account and maybe a Gmail or other type of, email account. But you can actually link your KSU emails to your personal account to make things that much easier for yourself to keep track of. But I see it every semester. A student comes in and they're like, oh man, nobody told me this. And we're like, we sent you 15 emails about it. So please, parents, students, check your email and make sure that you're abreast of everything that's going on, because we have some awesome things for you.
And that, can I broken record a couple of things that we've already said 500 times, like the email thing? So, and I've got kind of two. So for students, I think for students, college is a lot in the sense that you're very much living in the now. You're having to go through all of the processes and procedures expected of you right now in this semester, but you're also constantly preparing for your future. You're registering for spring in October, smack dab in the middle of this semester. And so you need to essentially, as a student, be doing those things that you need for right now, and always be aware that there's going to be requirements and deadlines and things that are going to impact and shape your future semesters at KSU. There's a lot of students at KSU, and that registration time ticket is important. Let's not register for classes in December, because the availability is going to look a little bit different in December because other people registered in October when their time ticket opened. And so making sure that students are aware, and even if you don't know them, telling your student, what is that deadline for this? When is that happening for that? I think that that's crucial. And then the kind of the tip, I guess a suggestion as someone with no children right now, other than a million animals at my house, and they're not going to college, thank goodness. I will save all of my money on that. But to parents and to families and friends that are supporting students in college, be open and supportive to them. I can't tell you how many times in the past a parent would come in, or a family member would come in, and they would say, this is happening and this is happening and this is happening. And that FERPA privacy law would not allow me to say anything to them. And then I would send an email to the student that was like, your family member is about to come in hot, FYI, they're coming for answers. And I think a lot of that is because they don't feel sometimes comfortable sharing those obstacles and challenges that they're facing. And the student experience really is so different than it used to be for all of us, even though I was in college like 12 years ago. It's even different from then. And so we really need to be open and supportive and caring to them, so that if something is going on, that we all are on the same page about that they don't feel like they can't share that information with you. Because if we don't all have that information, then we can't help them the best way. And we all love our little stories and analogies. And because of College of Science and Math, we always use the medical field for everything. And, if you walk into an office and you tell them that your nose hurts, and then you walk out and say, my foot still hurts. Well, unless you told that person that your foot was hurting, how can they help you? So being honest about every single little thing that's going on. If that test didn't go well, do not come into our offices and say it went fine. I have a little bit of a different definition of fine. And I think we probably all do. Be honest, because that is how we can ensure that we are helping you the best way we absolutely can. All of us, anybody affiliated to KSU and their individual roles.
Yeah, we are not here to shame. We are here to support. We are here to acknowledge. We are here to engage with your student, no matter what is going on. I cannot think of another juncture in a person's life beyond college where you have this amount of support that is tailored and and available. And so this is absolutely a wonderful time for them to learn about themselves, to learn how to take control, how to figure out a little bit more about how the world works, right? But once again, learning laboratory, they're never going to have this opportunity again to have all these people that are specifically here for their student success and making sure they get in, they get out. But what happens in between is really, really meaningful and helpful for how they continue with their life. And so I just thank these wonderful people that are in these boxes on this screen today. I don't want to beat a dead horse either, but oh my gosh, the email thing, hands down, the thing that trips a student up, because and I get it. It's generational. That's just not a part of their groove. And all right, this is going to date me. I remember email being a part of a new college journey for me, where I was like, I don't even know what this email thing is exactly. And then even like teachers, professors trying to understand, like, I think I'm going to send you an email. And it's going to go to your computer. And anyway, but like they just get communication in all different ways, in so many ways, right? So it's almost, having them be able to have that focus again and say, you can't be focused everywhere. You do kind of have a specific path of focus that really needs to resonate to really continue to help you. So anyway, thank you all. And I think I have one more thing to say. Let's see what it is. What's the best way to contact you all? Yes. So tell us all about, if our families have follow-up questions, what's the best way to contact you?
I'm going to throw 500 different ways to reach out to us at you. And so first, I'll go back to, I'm like a broken record with everything I say. I'll just say it till I get the answer to every question I answer. We love websites, and we have websites for anything. And if you are like, who were those people? What were their names? You just need to do a web search for KSU Advising and you will find all of us. So there is an overarching advising website for all of the advising offices, all of the directors, all of the people. Just web search KSU Advising. We also have a general email, askadvising@kennesaw.edu, that is used to kind of move and funnel the different people to the different places on campus. So you can always use that. If your student is already, married to a specific major and they're sure of that, then you can web search biology advising, chemistry advising, computing advising, and you will find all of our contact information there.
Perfect. All right. Well, families, I hope that we have made you a little more comfortable with this journey. I do want to, I thought of another question really quickly. So obviously advising is about to happen in October, for the most part, for spring 2022. I think that families would be able to review this video again if they want to for registering for either summer or fall next year courses, I would assume. Go ahead and give us like a quick preview of when we're in spring, when does that course registration what does that sort of look like and begin? That's like a March thing, right?
Yeah, usually in mid-March is when students will be registering for the upcoming summer and fall. And that trips a lot of students up because they're thinking, oh, I can register for summer and then fall will happen sometime later. No, when your time ticket opens up, you can literally add your summer and your fall classes. So you want to be on the lookout for those dates. The nice thing about that is it's public information. So literally, if you go to KSU's website and you type in the search bar calendar, you can find our academic calendar and see all of those amazing dates, withdrawal deadlines, and when your time tickets will open up for each and every semester. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think we highlight that because we link the OWL Family Hub, the dates that you all see in the calendar, families, that syncs with the academic calendar. So those should populate for you too, as well as in the hub, but I will link that below as well so you have that. But yeah, I just thought we might as well kind of give that preview of when they should be thinking about that, the next step after this. So that's wonderful. All right. Well, perfect. Families, feel free to comment below this video if you have any questions that come to mind while watching. We'd love to get those answered for you. So thank you so much for your time, AJ and Brittany and Hannah. And thank you, parents, for entrusting us with your students. So until next time, hooty hoo. Bye, families.